Maya Greene moved like a whisper through the hallways of the Windward Heights Hotel, unnoticed and invisible. At 39, she'd learned the power of silence and small movements. Her job as a housekeeper was simple: maintain luxury, keep secrets hidden, and avoid notice. It kept her safe. The rare tips sometimes allowed her to buy fresh bread instead of the stale loaves at the food pantry. Her tiny flat, above an abandoned laundromat, was modest, but it was hers. A hand-me-down kettle, the crackle of an old jazz station, and the scent of lavender made it home. It wasn't much, but it was real. It was late October when Maya found the girl. The hallway on the 15th floor was eerily silent. It was past midnight when Maya was replacing a toilet roll in room 1523. A faint sound, breathing, almost too soft, caught her attention. She stepped into the hall, her heart quickening with unease. The girl sat near the ice machine, curled in an oversized coat, her dark hair tangled and her face streaked with grime. Her eyes were wide, fixed on the carpet, as if afraid it might move. Maya approached, kneeling slowly. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" she asked, her voice soft. The girl flinched. "I'm not a thief," she whispered. Maya's heart tightened. The girl couldn't have been older than 14, her knuckles scraped, one shoe missing. Maya's instinct kicked in. She didn't ask questions. "I won't call anyone," she promised. "But you can't stay here, you'll freeze." "I don't want to go back." "Back where?" The girl shook her head, clutching the coat tighter. Maya hesitated. She was always on her last warning at work for clocking out late, but something about the girl, fragile, scared, made Maya do what she hadn't done in years. She offered her hand. "I live nearby, just for tonight. You can have the bed, I'll sleep in the chair." The girl looked at her, not with trust, but with something less guarded than fear. She took Maya's hand. They slipped out, through the back stairwell. Maya's flat wasn't much. It smelled of lemon polish and dust, the walls cracked, and the floor creaked with every step. But it was warm. The girl ate the canned soup Maya had heated up without a word, sitting on the edge of the small bed. "Are you alone?" the girl asked suddenly, her voice barely audible. Maya nodded, "For a long time." The girl studied her for a long while, her gaze hesitant. Then, quietly, "I'm Grace." Maya smiled. "Maya." They didn't speak much that night. Maya watched as Grace slept, curled up in the bed like she could somehow shrink herself into safety. Maya, as always, curled into the armchair, the familiar hum of the radio filling the space. In the morning, Grace was still there. No sign of leaving. Maya made tea and cut the last piece of bread into halves, placing one on a chipped plate for Grace. Grace took the toast, her hands trembling, but she said nothing. Maya didn't press. "I'm not staying long," Grace said after a while. Maya nodded. "That's up to you." Grace didn't leave. Day after day, they settled into a quiet rhythm. Maya let her help with small chores, nothing that felt like a burden, just enough to give Grace a sense of belonging. They laughed more than Maya expected, and fought too. One night, Grace stormed out of the bathroom, slamming the door after Maya refused to let her buy a new pair of shoes. "You're not my mom," she shouted. Maya stood in silence for a moment, then called softly through the door, "No, I'm not, but I still care what happens to you." That night, Grace left a folded note on Maya's pillow. "Sorry, I didn't think anyone would stay. You did, thank you." A week later, the knock on the door came. Two police officers stood on the steps, their faces unreadable. Maya Greene. Maya's heart slammed in her chest. "Yes. We're looking for a missing girl," the officer said, 14 years old, last seen near Windward Heights. Maya didn't lie. She stepped aside, allowing Grace to stand behind her, gripping the frayed curtain. The officer's eyes softened. "Grace Jennings." Grace didn't speak. She just nodded, her hands shaking. "I ran," she said, voice barely a whisper, "but she saved me." The officers exchanged glances but didn't press. "We'll need a statement," one said. Grace looked up at Maya, her eyes wide and scared, and Maya stood still, waiting for something. Grace's grip tightened on her hand. Days passed. The social worker came. Her name was Mrs. Clark, small, sharp-eyed but not unkind. She came to listen, to understand. Maya stood by the door, staying out of the way, but always present. Grace spoke quietly. "I ran because it wasn't safe. I didn't want to go back." "I know," Maya whispered from the kitchen. The social worker took it all in. "This isn't legal, Maya," she said gently. "You know that, right?" "I do," Maya replied. "But why?" Maya took a breath. She didn't need pity, she just needed a place to breathe, to feel safe. A long silence stretched. Grace looked up, voice trembling. I wasn't a victim, I wasn't seeking attention, I just needed a door that didn't slam. A week later, Mrs. Clark returned with an offer, temporary guardianship, 6 months, a trial. Maya looked at the paperwork, her hands shaking. Grace squeezed her hand. Is that okay? Maya didn't answer immediately, she simply held Grace's hand tighter. It's more than okay. The 6 months passed quickly, like a season turning. Maya wasn't alone anymore, Grace wasn't running anymore, and every morning there was a note on the fridge, simple reminders that someone cared. One night, as Maya sat with a letter in hand, an official letter from the Windward Heights Foundation, Grace, now more confident, took the stage at an event honoring unsung heroes. She spoke of Maya. She didn't need to adopt me, she just opened her door when I didn't know where to turn. Maya sat in the audience, still, her heart thundering in her chest. She hadn't asked for recognition, she'd just been there when Grace needed her. After the event, Grace pulled out a folded paper and handed it to Maya. It's a form, if it's okay, I want your name, she whispered. And for the first time in her life, Maya didn't feel invisible. She felt seen and loved in the quietest of ways. Maya still cleans sometimes, not because she has to, but because she finds peace in the quiet rhythm of it. Grace studies illustration now, her first published comic dedicated to Maya. Their tiny flat is no longer empty. It's home. And on the wall above the couch, there's a framed word stitched onto linen. Jennings. Not because of birthright, but because home is where love, without condition, quietly grows. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful short stories that inspire, challenge, and stay with you.